All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Theorycraft Thursday. We, of course, are hosted by myself, Ursinity, and my co-host, Proud Dota. Hello, Proud.
Hi. Did you add the ing that time on purpose, or?
I'm not sure. I honestly could not tell you.
Yeah.
We, of course, are everybody's favorite Young Sheldon fan cast. We are going to be reviewing episode 2 of season 1.
I thought we were going to be Cuphead.
Oh, we could have been Cuphead, but then I decided to do Young Sheldon.
You said that you were going.
I hinted that I might be Cuphead. I have been playing quite a bit of Cuphead.
I mean, to like one, it's not really a hint if you just tell a person that you're gonna do it and then you don't. That's not really like.
There's like a colon P at the end of it, so who's really to know?
You can't really trust a colon P.
Exactly. It's like what does Thorin do? He's like this /V, and he's like, everything I say with the /V is meaningless or sarcastic or whatever.
I don't know what that is. I don't know.
I forget what it is. It's some like, he's like, oh, I think it's colon V. And he's like, yeah, that means sarcasm. Like, literally nobody uses that for sarcasm, sir. But okay.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to
yeah, I've been playing Cuphead and having a lot of fun with it. Have you been playing Cuphead?
No, I have not been playing
It's
Cuphead.
hard. That's my primary reaction to it. It's fun and I'm enjoying it despite like how god awful I am at it. But on top of me being bad at the genre and not playing the genre, it's also really, really hard. Like just as a game, it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm only on like the second island. I don't even know how many islands there are in total, but it's fun.
It's like a Mega Man game, right? Like basically.
Yeah, similar.
It's like a dude platforming and you shoot out of your face.
Yeah, it's a 2D platforming shooter, and it's mostly boss fights. There are run and gun stages, which are more like Mega Man traditional. Go from
like
point A to point B.
kind of
yeah, and then most of them are boss fights because the premise of the game is like you have gambling debts.
You had a cup.
Yeah.
You have what?
You have gambling debts, and you have to, instead of selling your soul to the devil, you have to collect on other people's debts. And so you like go over to the flower patch, and then you say, "Hey, Mr. Flower, you owe the devil money," and then you kill him. Except, I don't know the technically you like rein in his contract or whatever. But basically, you murder this person on behalf of the devil. It's very cool, very fun. I bought it just for the aesthetic, but I am enjoying the game despite its difficulty. Yeah. So yeah,
from my experience, those that do like collect debt for a living are more or less like working for the devil. So I think that makes sense.
Either way, it's a fun game. And that's about it for that. I honestly don't know if I'm going to beat this game just because.
Probably not. I mean, I've played a lot of Mega Man games, and I have only beaten one of them.
Yeah, I've definitely beaten none of them. It's just like going to require a lot of time, and the people that are good at it, boy, it's impressive. But man, I am not one of those people. That's for sure.
Yeah, you really are.
Shall we instead talk about a game that we're both theoretically good at, which would be Dota 2?
Sure. No, that one.
Yeah. How has your week in Dota 2 been, Sir Proud?
It's been good.
Good how?
I've been dialing back a bit how much I'm playing and just doing like I'm just gonna play one, and then one turns into 3, but then I stop at 3.
Okay.
So I'm like, I just want to I want to be even for the day. Like yesterday, I only played 2, and it was like a -21 and plus 27. I was like, all right, I gained 6.
Nice.
I think that's fine. It's like gaining like a fifth of a game.
It's profit.
More than that. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, all right. That's been good. I've been measuring the amount of dude I've been playing. That way that like I don't get into a game and I'm like, I don't want to play this fucking hero again, but it's like, the hero to play. And the worst thing is when you pick a really good hero for something and then the next game it's like gotta play Jug again.
Yep.
And then you don't want to play Jug, so you pick the next best substitution and you're just like, man, you know what? Troll really fucking was not Juggernaut this game. Troll is not Juggernaut, and he was never going to be Juggernaut, so now I lose.
Yeah. I feel you on that one. I rarely play the same hero twice in a row, and I normally, I mean, if I want to win the game, I'll still pick the hero if it's like a necessary hero. But a lot of times I'll try to, subvert the smart pick and be like, I could play Jug, but you know who else builds Diffusal? Drow Ranger. It's like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, well, but I am going to. So Yeah.
Phantom Lancer, and then they pick Earthshaker, and you're like, I should have seen that coming.
Yeah. I actually had a really good PL game the other day.
Did you go Deso?
I was thinking about it, and actually, I was as I do looking him up on Dota Buff when I was looking exactly how to skill and all that. And the top game was like some 7K player that built a Deso, and I was like, dude, that guy knows what's up.
Definitely a listener of the .P network.
One of our many 7K fans.
Yeah.
And in that game, let's see, what was my exact item progression? I picked it pretty early as a Tinker counter and as a Wraith King counter because I wanted a Phantom Rush to get on top of Tinker, which is not a traditional Tinker counter, and I wanted a Manta.
Yeah, I mean, you can get through the trees, and the illusions can block March. Yeah, little boys.
It wasn't great for pick off. I picked him off like once or twice just through sheer damage, but obviously I didn't build Basher that game. I kind of thought about it, but I didn't end up doing it. My item progression in that game on PL was I went Treads with like an Aki and a Wand, Diffusal, Manta, Scotty, Heart, Monkey King Bar, and
that sounds
and Diffusal too. And then I was gonna replace my Power Treads. It was an alright game. I just wanted to tank up like crazy. Like I think I had like 4,600 health that game. Because I just needed to outlast people. The enemy team really sucked to fight into, so I just kind of had to skirt fights and try to get what I could get done.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like a Desolator game, but yeah, I mean, a big thing with PL, and especially when you need to tank up when you're dealing with having a heart, is like the tanky you are, the longer you have to wait for an opportunity to just like get out of the fight for 5 seconds, then heal up to full.
Yeah.
And PL is great at that. Like PL is very good at, like, oh, if you don't take damage for like 3 seconds and then you you doppelganger, and then you got a bunch of, you're like immune to damage for a few seconds, and then, as long as you don't get caught, you're gonna like regen up, like 30% of your health in a second.
Yeah, my like the really big thing in that game for me was being able to diffusal off the Mjolnir active, because they tried to counter me with 2 Mjolnirs.
Oh yeah,
they had a Mjolnir on Shadow Fiend and a Mjolnir on Wraith King. And it was effective, but then I would be like, oh, hey, I'm dying to this, and just purge it off, and then, like, who cares? And then...
You know what I didn't know for the longest time that I learned, like, a month ago? You can purge off Sven's Warcry.
Oh, yeah, I actually know that, but I don't think about that in games.
I just didn't know, because, like, I see, like, a lot of people, like, when Sven was really popular, like, Sven and Jug were both popular, but Sven obviously, like, countered Jug because... between Warcry and the time when he built Helm of the Dominator, when it had like when it gave you armor and shit, people built a shit ton of Maelstrom and Mjolnir, and I was like, oh, okay, because it cuts through the armor, and then I just would always do that against Sven, but no, you can just purge it. So I felt fucking dumb, but I mean now I can play Jug against Sven, which is great.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of those things where I know I can purge it, but I usually don't, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to use a charge just for this. But it's like, in actuality, Warcry is a huge deal. But it feels like a crime to purge off something that like is not an ultimate ability.
Like a 13-second AoE or a 14-second cooldown, like AoE buff. That's like, I mean, people just don't respect armor enough. Like even at our level, it's just like, hey, you press a button and he loses 20 armor. Like, that's a lot of armor, Sam.
Yeah, that's like...
It's a big one.
What? That's like 3 Desolators? Or 4?
Yes.
Or whatever?
That's 3 Desolators. Plus 1.
Yeah.
Minus 1.
Yeah, let's see. What other... I'm actually on a big winning streak, which is, of course, going to curse us for this. I have... Let's see. In my last 9 games, I'm 8-1. And the only game I lost was an Enigma game that was real hard.
Like really hard.
I don't even remember why. Hard. Oh, we had a guy that randomed Meepo and then jungled and went 6-18, and his first item was a Silver Edge. That's why that game was hard.
Yeah, that sounds like a difficult match.
Yeah.
Not to just complain about games, but my last game was like, oh my god, this dude, we were like, hey, you know what? Nyx is a great hero this game. And he was like, all right. And he just didn't know how to land stuns. Like, he just didn't get it. So he just, like, missed a bunch of stuns. So we were like, all right, like, it's fine. We'll set up for you. And then, like, I look at top lane, and it's this Timbersaw that, like, Timbersaw picked third. Mm-hmm. And that gave them a lot of picks to figure out that they should play Clinks, which is as we all know, the highest win rate carry in like 4K and 5K plus. So I'm in this like fucking shitty game with this dude who can't play Nyx. And in the meanwhile, I noticed we have like an 0-7 Timbersaw that's level 4 at 9 minutes. I was like, all right, it's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be real tough. So moral of the story, if you're gonna play Timbersaw, 1, realize he's not a good hero. 2, don't pick it when they can still pick Clinks. Don't do that. Because they might, and if they do, you lose.
Yeah.
The game sucks for you. Don't play Timber against Klinger.
Yeah, I've also had a couple bad Timbers in my games. I can't even find the game
He's not good, dude.
Yeah, he's not a good boy. He's passable as like a final pick in like a certain draft, but in general, I'm like, yikes.
Yeah, like, I mean, he has a specific aspect of him where he's good against individual auto attacks early on in the game. But once, like, if he's not, like, there's a lot of heroes that do more than that. So if you are in a game with heroes that do more than just auto attack you for 50, you're going to have a bad laning stage. And if you're going to have a bad laning stage, you're just going to have a bad game.
Yeah. There's the PL game. I had an offlane Timber. He random Timber first pick. So the enemy team was just like, oh, okay.
What did they pick as their carry?
Wraith King. Or no, Wraith King was roaming. They had a weird draft. Okay. They had a safelane Tinker. That they just dominated the offlane. I mean, dominated the safe lane. They ran like Tinker with. I mean, on Dota buff it says like everybody's roaming practically, but they had a Wraith King and a Pudge, and they just ran at it. And we had 2 5s that game, which was our core issue. As much as we ended up winning, but the game took way longer.
More like your support issue.
Yeah. So we had Shadow Demon Disruptor, and it was rough.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, it was a real bad combo.
Yeah, don't pick 2 5s. Just like a PSA. I mean, I've said this before, but like, I mean, Dota's a game where you have a carry, a offlaner, a mid. You don't have 2 supports. You have a like ranged, squishy support, and then you have like a bigger, tankier melee or fighty support. It's not the same shit. You don't play 2 carries. You don't play a carry in the safe lane, a carry in the off lane. You don't play fucking a mid in the safe lane and then a mid in the mid. You don't do that. So don't pick 2 squishy long range fellows and then complain that you lose. Like you picked 2 5s. And there's not explicit names for these. I mean, there is for the 4. The 4 is a roamer. So like, I mean, you don't not have a roamer. That's just not the same way you don't not have a carry. You don't not have a roamer. Just all supports are not created equal. These are entirely different classifications of heroes.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, let's move into our segment for this week. So, our segment is brought to you by Lieutenant Condor. He messaged me like as an individual question, and I thought this would be a good thing to talk about on this show publicly. So, our segment is going to be what to do when you're stuck in a rut. Basically, the specific context was he was basically saying that he's been fluctuating within the same like ballpark 200 MMR bracket for like a couple months, and you know how each of us would approach that, and how, because we've all been there. Like if every once in a while you do just hit a plateau and you're like, man, I've been X thousand MMR, give or take 150 for like a month, and I just don't know what's wrong. So Proud, when you're stuck in a rut, MMR wise, or even just skill wise, like sometimes I know you and I both have had this happen, and we talk about it on the show probably, where you're gaining MMR or you're losing MMR, but you really don't feel like you're getting better or worse. You're just kind of like, things just kind of happen around you, and you're just not making any individual progress. So what is your general attitude when you feel that you're just like stuck somewhere?
I just keep spamming games no matter what. That's what I actually do.
Yeah.
But what I think I should do is, like, number one, I recommend kind of, I mean, obviously you want to change things,
yes,
right? So you want to kind of go any change you can, but try to isolate things. Like, don't change everything all at once, because then you don't know, like, if you're trying to make something happen and you press every button and then it happens, like, you don't know which button to press. You just know that one of these buttons did something. So you want to try to kind of like isolate it and figure out what personally works for you. So between like, try taking a break or not playing as much, or try, like playing more or something. But if that's not an option, then obviously, don't go down that route. Like if you can only play a couple games a day, or, less than that, that's how much you can play. You can't really, go past your limits.
Yeah.
But like taking a break for me, at least like me playing less, because I'm like kind of on break doing things. So I was getting into ruts where I would just like, hey, I'm not fucking doing anything today. Time to just like play Dota and then die. But like, stepping away from that and like, all right, I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to like do whatever. Maybe sometime, around like 6 or so, I'm going to play like 2 games. And then, if there were both losses, I'll stop. If they were both wins, I'll play another. That way, like at worst, I'm +1 for the day. And if it's 1-1, like, whatever, I'll stop or maybe play one more. Depends on how I'm feeling. But yeah, just like, chill it out, take it back. Maybe instead of playing a game, if you feel like you're doing really shitty, like just flip through a couple like pro games, or watch like a replay of a hero that you're interested in, or like, think of something that you're not great at, or watch a D2 Bowie video, because those are fantastic still. Yeah, like, I mean, it's all just about changing what you're doing, but in a very specific fashion.
Yes.
Also, like, get excited about playing something. Like, the number one way to stagnate in Dota is if you're just, like, going through the motions. Like, when I get bored in Dota, that's when I come up with, like, Monkey King Battle Fury and investigate how to play Bloodseeker, or pick up Arc Warden and shit like that. So, like, give yourself, like, projects. Like, even if you can't get better skill-wise, at least, like, try to come up with something that like you're not quite as good at. That's not like getting better at this thing may not push your limit as far as like, I'm a fantastic lone druid player and I climb only playing lone druid, and I feel like I'm stagnating. Well, maybe try also like expanding maybe lone druid and arc warden, and yeah, that's not going to make your MMR or whatever better, but it's gonna like help you out, and you're gonna like kind of restart that climbing process. And then with that like little boost and the extra motivation and excitement, then like, you may be better when you go back to what you're best at doing. Even if it's not like, I was a good carry and a bad support, and then I played support and now I play carry better because I know how support works. Like, not even like that. Just like when I was playing World of Warcraft Arena, one of the things that we would do when we were like getting real competitive, and we were trying to break like 2400 back when that was like actually high, like season 3, I think that was. But we would like every week we would just start a new team. That way we would go from like 1500 and then shoot straight up and just like see how long we could get the streak going, and like try to end as high as we could. And then next week we would just do it again to get that momentum. And it's kind of similar, only instead of like recalibrating an account, just like pick something up new, try it out, and then as you get better at that, just try to ride that wave and like keep improving like that. That's like one of the ways I like to.
Yeah. No, that all makes sense. I mean, like you said, the general theme of things is that you have to make some change, right? Like if you're doing something repeatedly and it's not working out, clearly what you're doing is, if you've been stuck in a rut spamming, LD for, 3 months, and what you need to do to get out of the rut is to pick a different hero. The most important thing definitely is to pick something small to change, rather than trying to make some grandiose change. Like, all right, I only ever play mid. Now I'm only ever going to random. It's like, well, maybe that's a bit much. Don't go that far.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
Expand.
Even if you only random, if the thing that you change is you still only random, like stop randoming. Like we can just I just wanted to shove that one in there.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, personally, whenever I've felt that I've been in a rut, usually when it's just stale, like if I find myself like, I just played Winter Wyvern like 5 out of the last 7 games, like I just try to find heroes or items, even if we're talking about specific heroes, that do similar things to what I'm already doing, but are fresh and new, right? So if I'm playing 5 most games, I'm not necessarily going to say, all right, I'm not playing 5 ever for the next like 2 months. I'm going to say, all right, I've been playing a lot of 5, but I'm getting bored, so now I'm going to start playing 4, or I'm going to start playing 3, or I'm going to start playing 2, and then try to do similar things within those roles to what I'm used to already. So I'm making a change to my games, but I'm not making some grandiose, huge change. Or probably a simpler example would be if I'm playing a lot of 5 and I say, I want to play 2, I'm not going to say I'm going to play 2 and also learn a new hero, right? I'm just going to pivot and say instead of playing 5 to make it fresh, I'm going to play the 2 that I already know how to play, but I just have not been playing, right? So
yeah,
you have to make manageable changes, I guess is the way that I would summarize it best, right? Is just don't get in over your head, but do something different. And that can even be insofar as to just do a different item build on a hero you're already spamming, right? Like if you've been playing tons of Monkey King, but you're feeling stuck in a rut, well, instead of doing, the Echo Saber fighting phase build, try out the Battle Fury build or whatever. Even those kind of really minor differences are enough in a lot of cases, and especially in my own experience, to be a kick in the pants and get you excited to play Dota again. It's especially hard nowadays, right? Because what is this? It's been like 4.5 months of this patch. I definitely feel the stuck in a rut kind of thing coming along for a lot of players.
I mean, and then also like, okay, that's, great. What if I want to like actually just get better at what I'm doing? Like, what can I do to get better at the game that I'm playing right now? I guess the only real advice, but like, I mean, obviously watching your own replays is like the blanket thing, and just like, I mean, whenever someone watches a pro game, they're able to say like, oh, that guy fucked up there, even though they're like 1,000 times better than you. So it's very easy for you to watch your own replay and be like, damn, I missed 20 last hits for no fucking reason, huh? That was kind of bad. And like, oh, I shouldn't have engaged there. I didn't see anyone on the map. I just kind of did that for no fucking reason. But even if you're like, you don't want to do that, just kind of pay attention to the way fights happen and what happens before fights, and whether or not, like, just kind of during the game, just like if a fight went bad, remember what you were doing before then. Like I had a game, the thing with Monkey King that I'm always working on is like when I can use my Q to farm and when I need to save it. Because it's got like a 22-second cooldown and I need it to fight. But also, if the game is going very badly, I need it to farm. But I had a game where just now, where I used it to farm. I finished up a camp real quick. And then 20 seconds later, there was a fight where I needed to use my Q. I mean, we lost the fight terribly, and the Q wouldn't have changed anything. But it was like, all right, like my Q was off cooldown was on cooldown for a second before I needed it, and then we all died. So yeah, just like think about fights, think about what happens, think about what happens leading up to them. That is kind of an issue. Another issue I've been having is like, the patch is so fighty, and as a carry, if my entire team is 4-manning somewhere, I feel like I can't also be there because then no one's getting any farms. So I typically was like very far away from my team, and then a fight would happen, just like out of nowhere, and then I'd just be in fucking Timbuktu pushing a tier 1 top, and meanwhile at like the bottom dire shrine, like everyone is dying. I'm like, fuck, I wish I could be there, but I'm not gonna be there. I'm just gonna keep doing this. And I was like, that happened like 5 games in a row, and we kept losing fights, and I just wasn't there. It's like, all right, I'm gonna play mobile heroes now that can just get anywhere as soon as shit happens. So I was playing like I switched to playing more like Monkey King again. What other mobile hero, like Juggernaut with Blink, and I'm just like speeding around everywhere. And like Arc Warden and shit, because I'll travels early, and like that was the change I made. I was like, okay, this is what's fucking me up. These are the things that are like, this is the issue that I'm noticing in the game. I can't just blame my team for like not being where I can TP to or whatever. I have to like change the way I'm playing to fit how all of these games are going, and find the common denominator between like my team not doing well or me losing and all that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in addition to that segment, let's just talk briefly about the newest behavior patch, unless you have anything else to say about the whole stuck in a rut thing.
I ain't got nothing to say about nothing.
Good. So we just had a behavior patch. It was, everybody got all hyped because we saw patch notes, and it's like, oh wait, it's not actually the thing we want. It's a thing that we still kind of want and enjoy.
They totally were gonna bake that into the next patch, but they just it was done, so they were just like, here's something, just don't kill us.
Yeah, they're trying to appease us temporarily. So
it's appeasement.
If I find the exact patch notes, that would be nice. But basically, they changed, and of course, since it's Valve, there's no specific terms. They changed the way that behavior score works, which, of course, you can only find your behavior score through the console.
Well, hold up. Like, Valve deserves a shit ton of flame for a lot of things. Yeah. But not telling people exactly how the behavior score works is a good fucking idea.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's fine. I wouldn't flame for that. It is just like, it's annoying that the information is available to you, but not readily available. It's like, they're trying to obfuscate just barely the information, right? Like it's not hidden at all. I mean, like you just press 2 buttons and you can find it, but they still are like kind of hiding it for you.
You can find your behavior score, but how it's calculated is hidden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, other than like the broad strokes of like if you get commends, it goes up, and if you feed, it goes down. Yeah. No, I agree. It's good. Obviously, like people, I've seen a few Reddit threads and even people telling me in Doppy Discord, be like, "Oh man, I'm in rank D. How should I up rank my behavior score?" It's like, well, if you want to metagame it, you just have to be nice and like farm commends. But yeah, so the broad strokes of it were just that people are going to be penalized more for feeding and stuff. They're cracking down on botting and on boosters and stuff like that. Although, again, not in any specific terms, so we don't know if it's like, oh, we're investigating accounts that have 90% win rates, or if it's just like a very literal, like, oh, this guy's boosting on stream.
But before, there was really nothing in place about feeding and that sort of thing. So if they are saying, like, you know, they have drastically improved the feeding detection thing. Like, if someone is in your game and they buy 5 couriers and send them down mid and then die 30 times, like, my assumption is that that's a very easy thing for Valve to be like, oh, it's like if player fucking buys 30 couriers and they all die a minute later, player equals a fucking feeder and ban them from the goddamn game.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, absolutely. And it's a good thing. I think everybody would agree. It's a good thing they're making some moves on this front. Oh yeah, I found the exact patch notes. So have you noticed any difference in your games? I've only played
not drastically. I mean, I imagine that it was like a couple days ago.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's no way unless you spammed games like you can have that many games. But you've played a few since the patch, at least, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really noticed too much, but they also did another thing to matchmaking a while ago that kind of changed things up. It seems like their language/region based thing, they made it a lot more. They made it a lot more strict. It's like most of my games have been like wars of nationality, and it's been very strange and racist. And that's why I've been seeing a lot more like plus and minus 30s or like plus 27 or like I have more games that are outside of 25 than in 25. Mm-hmm. So like that change happened a while ago, and now this changed. So I'm still not entirely sure what the difference is, but I feel like this is a patch that's, you know, like it's not until someone feeds that they're gonna get picked up by this thing, right? So, meh. Give it a few weeks before I notice anything at all. And I mean, I don't get many feeders in my games anyways, so I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I almost never have feeders, but also, I mean, even with the old system, like I had like a super high behavior score. So just going by the logic, you know, I'm not going to run into those people as often. I really don't notice the language stuff as much as other people. And this is, of course, you know, we don't know their exact, like, how they pool people or how, you know, if you're queuing at weird times, you're going to get more variance and whatnot. But I'm always alarmed when people have these concerns. People are like, oh man, every other game, it's just all Russians and I'm on EU West. Why are they here? Oh, every game, it's, you know, Spanish speakers and I'm on US East. I really don't have those issues, but obviously, you know, that's just my experience. And, I can't speak to the experience of other people, but I definitely don't have as many problems as other folks. So far, I mean, I've only played 3 or 4 games since the patch. I can't remember the exact timing of the patch. And all my games have been fun, but in general, I have fun games anyway. Like, I recently shut off, or not that recently, but like a few weeks ago, I shut off all chat. And just completely, and man, it has made my game so much more fun. And I've not tilted, and I mean, also I'm on like an 8-game win streak.
Wait, like all chat,
all chat, like
the channel, or like literally every chat?
No, all chat is in the chat, like the enemy chat, I guess I should say. Although you still don't see it even if your allies all chat. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. Yeah. No, I'm not wrong. That's true. You can't see even if your allies all chat.
Yeah. There used to be a command that was like mute all chat, and I was like, okay, I want this, and it just muted every instance of chat that occurred, and I was like, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, but that has made my games incredibly better. Like, because again, there's like literally no point to hear what your enemy is saying, right? Like, you cannot gain anything.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's like a pause, or whatever.
Even then, it's like, unless you're the type to unpause, like, and I'm not, unless a pause goes on for forever, or if it's clearly a BM pause.
I mean, that's when.
But like, I'm not gonna spam unpause. Like, I don't care like whether your cat's on fire or like you need to get the door or you have a phone call. Like, it's just a pause, whatever. So yeah, I've my games have been way better regardless of this patch, just through virtue of muting all chat. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the heroes we're gonna be playing this week, shall we? I am going to be playing Silencer's support, as is known through the episode title.
Yeah.
This hero has been seeing rising popularity, but has stayed fairly popular for quite a while, both in pubs and even in pros. He's generally he doesn't fulfill the role that a lot of other 5s do, since he does not have stuns, nor does he have hexes and whatnot. But he does fulfill the very specific kind of counter initiation team fight role that is very good to have on a team. So it's one of the...
Well, he fulfills at least the ability to support the safe lane. Like, even if he doesn't have... Like, he has a slow, and that's about it. But, like, he does have a weird silence, and he can zone offlaners better than almost any other 5, so...
Except for Shadow Shaman, Mr. 8,000 damage. But even then, Silencer does comparable, if not more damage.
His range isn't even that big.
Yeah, but you don't need big range when you start with a game with a Windlace.
Well, you aggro creeps.
That's fine.
Fuck my lane up.
That's fine. You'll figure it out.
It's not fine.
If my pubs go...
2 range creeps.
If my pubs are any degree of relevant, the supports don't ever care about messing up your creep wave. Yes. So Silencer support, strong hero, has a lot of options, scales very well. The big thing that you want on Silencer is to be fighting often and reaping the rewards of that, 5th skill passive where you're getting +2 int per kill or per kill in the AoE. I forget the exact AoE. It's probably like 1,500 or something.
Probably. Let me check this.
I was going to say, I don't remember the exact range, especially like...
I'm sure it's on Dota 2 wiki, but...
Well, also, if you get a kill with last word, but they're like super far away from you, I think that's like definitely a concern. Regardless, you want to be fighting frequently with this hero, which is why Proud will be playing Ursa. The whole...
Oh, spoiled it.
Well, yeah. The whole idea on Silencer is, even though you are a 5, you still want to be... You're a bit greedier as a 5, I guess is the way to word it best. Right? You're going to want to be pulling frequently. You're going to want to be engaging in team fights and in skirmishes. You're going to want to rotate around and make the best of your ability to scale in the late game by just, getting that +2 int as much as possible. Itemization, you frequently are going to be going on support. You still go the core items, you just build them more slowly, basically. You're building usually treads and then Force Staff, Atos, Hurricane Pike, stuff like that. We're both not on the Midas camp, but if you are, like, let's say you win a big team fight early and, you got first blood, you can swing a Midas on Silencer. I quite like it in most of my Silencer games, but it's not...
Yeah.
Midas is not the item it used to be, that's for sure. So in general, I would just rush a Force Staff as fast as possible.
It is only within 925 range that you get intelligence.
Wow, I thought it was longer than that.
And anytime you get a killing blow, you also get the intelligence.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you last word someone and then they TP to a tower and die, you'll still get it.
Okay, that's good. That makes more sense. Yeah.
Yep.
And in a late game, you can kind of itemize. There are usually 2 paths that you go on Silencer as a support. As a support, you either go in for the like pseudo core build where you're saying, all right, I'm dealing enough damage now that I'm going to just be a full core. And then you're going, like I said, Atos, Hurricane Pike, BKBs, ACs, Sheep Sticks, Shivas, stuff like that. And really just punching people to death. The other alternative is the more teamfight-centric counter pick Silencer, where you say, all right, the enemy team picked Enigma. We really need to deal with this Enigma. And that way you are going in for things like a Refresher Orb late. You're going to want to be building Glimmer Capes and these more defensive items because your team is not relying on you in any way, shape, or form to do physical damage, nor do you have the physical damage to supply to fulfill that role, basically.
Yeah.
That's usually the 2 mentalities and that I have going towards Silencer optimization. It's really just like a fork in the, or not a fork in the road. It's like a 2-pronged fork in the road. It's like one of those tuning forks that just has 2 paths.
Right.
It's like that. Yeah, you can also go drums on him, but I don't usually do that.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
I'm not a big support drums kind of guy, honestly. I like drums as an item, but
it's very expensive.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where I see people do it, and I'm like, how did you afford this? And it just kind of works out. But whenever I try to do it, I'm like, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to get the money for this. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very piecewise, so that's
yeah, and bracers are nice.
Piecemeal, whatever the fuck. But at the same time, like, that much gold, like, buddy, you could have had a 4-staff, and that does way more than or for you.
Yeah, you could have, most of a 4-staff. It's weird. I'm not a big fan of support drums, but it works out for a lot of people. So whatever.
I feel like with silencer, there's also like a lot of items that are kind of shared between the like going more core oriented and support. Like, you can always go treads on silencer for the most part. Like, mana boots is nice sometimes, but I mean, I'm never going to fault a person for going treads on silencer. And like 4-staff can build into a hurricane pike if you ever do transition. Atos is nice whether you're core or support. Glimmer Cape is honestly fine unless you like until you're like 6 slotted or whatever. Like, it can help you escape. It can save people. Like, there are plenty of carries where I'm like, oh god, someone please Glimmer Cape me right now. So it's not like as a core you're not wanting the Glimmer Cape active. And those are like the core silencer items, like, or the central items for a support silencer. Using the word core is very confusing.
I know it's
the central items for like a support silencer. It's like 4-staff and Glimmer Cape and Atos. Those are like very simple silencer items, and all of those have applications for being a core. Some more than others, but I mean, like, if you build those items, it's not like you completely, shut the chance of ever right-clicking out the window. It's just you're getting items in a different order.
Yeah, absolutely. So, also skill-wise, what you're going to be doing is a lot of times I'm getting glaives at level 1 if I'm dedicated to zoning out the offlaner. Otherwise, I will get Arcane Curse level 1. Generally, what you're doing is You make a conscious decision. If the enemy team has heroes like Bristleback that are going to be spamming out a lot of abilities, or like Invoker, these kind of stereotypical heroes that you deal with Silencer, that don't deal well with Silencer, you want to max Curse of the Silent first, and you still get 1 point in Last Word. Similarly, if you're going Last Word focus, you still get 1 point Curse.
Wait, you mean Arcane Curse?
Yeah.
You said Curse of the Silent, which doesn't exist
Yeah, I was
anymore.
going to say that's the old one. So Curse, Arcane Curse, that is what you're maxing in matchups where, the enemy team has these spam-oriented heroes. Alternatively, if they don't have those heroes, if they have, heroes like Dragon Knight, that he casts a couple abilities every once in a while, you're going to be going in for Last Word and dealing that big burst damage. Also, Last Word does provide vision, which is particularly significant if the enemy team has heroes that are going to kite you, or just it's nice to have vision of people, basically.
Yeah, I like seeing.
Yeah, seeing is real nice, and of course, you're getting your ult at 6 and all the other things.
Do you like maxing both these skills before putting extra points in glaives?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, almost. I can't think of a time where I would max glaives unless I was playing core silencer. I would not max glaives. Like, if we look towards the glaives scaling just as an ability, it has
it's not
great. It scales with damage, but you are like, when you're in mid lane, right? I mean, rather, it scales directly into damage, and the only thing you're gaining is, it goes from 35 all the way up to 80% damage of your int transferred damage. It doesn't make as big a difference when you're a support, because even if you are consistently getting a lot of int from team fights, you are a lot of times not being afforded the ability to sit there and right click people. That's not really your job at that juncture. So it is significant in the late game, but the late game, you're going to have everything maxed anyway. So I would much rather be investing my early points, other than, of course, the 1 value point in glaives, into maxed out Curse and maxed out Last Word. And even on core silencer, I still frequently will try to maybe just get 2 points in glaives or something. And even then, I'm not maxing it first. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's even if you have like 100 int, which I mean, I just created a silencer, gave it treads, a wand, 4-staff, and leveled it up to level 11. Like, even then, I'm barely at 75 int. But it's not even 15 more damage a swing. Which, I mean, that 15 damage is a lot. Like, Clinks gets 10 extra damage every time he levels up with Searing Arrows. But I mean, by the time this becomes relevant, it's gonna be like a lot later than Clink's at level 7 with plus 70 damage or whatever.
The big difference is that Glaives of Wisdom is pure damage, and that's why you're getting it at level 1 or level 2, depending on the situation, because you are completely negating the enemy armor, whereas like Clink's, you're not dealing pure damage with your arrows, right? So that's true, right?
Yeah, it's physical.
Okay, that's what I thought. You were quiet, and I was like, oh god, am I wrong? I was so certain that it was physical.
I was considering saying like, well, it basically is pure if you build it right.
But yeah, so that first value point is really big because you're basically, you're adding an incredible amount of damage to the ability, not through virtue of the damage that's literally added with intelligence, but through the damage that you are adding through ignoring enemy armor. So that is what makes the big difference in terms of level 1 glaives, but obviously it doesn't go from pure damage to double pure damage when you put in more investments into it. It just stays as pure.
In comparison, like one of the things that you don't like that I say is that I think that magic damage like gets better as the game goes on, and it's not so much that the concept of a nuke gets better, but I'm just saying like point for point, like as the game goes on, people's physical armor is increasing. So like 10 physical damage is less and less damage as the game goes on, but in comparison, 10 magic damage is like stays the same. So as the game goes on, magic damage is going to stay doing how much it does, but physical damage is going to go less. And same thing for, I mean, unless, they buy a pipe at 40 minutes or something like that. And pure damage is fairly similar. Like, as the game goes on, physical scales more, but I'm just saying, like, point for point, comparing, an increase of 15 pure damage to 15 physical damage. The pure damage is just going to be more and more attractive as the game goes on. So, like, just getting your glaives late, that's fine. You'll still hit, the whatever infinitely scaling peak of having pure damage is going to be.
Yeah, but when you word it like that, it does. I do agree with that. That's Silencer.
The concept of magic damage
the concept
is better as the game goes on.
Yeah.
Yes, it doesn't scale as like building into magic damage doesn't necessarily get better, but like that's one of the reasons why Maelstrom and MKB are such amazing late game items. Like if you plug in damage simulators, those items frequently outperform like they beat the shit out of Butterfly. Like Butterfly's garbage compared to MKB or Mjolnir. But yeah, like those items are fucking awesome. Magic damage is very good.
Yes, yeah. It just the unfortunate thing is that the vehicle with which you deal magic damage usually does not scale well.
Like Earth Spike isn't going to scale,
exactly.
But the lightning procs from Mjolnir definitely are.
All right, so let's talk a bit about Ursa, shall we? You're going to be playing Ursa today.
Yeah. Again, big angry bear.
The big synergy there is what we were talking about early on in the Silencer bit, where we're playing a very aggressive carry that can get a lot of stuff done early and take control of the game. So hopefully we'll be reaping in what's the word? Reaping the rewards of our kills. And I feel like I've used that phrase like 4 times this show. And getting a lot of plus int. And stealing in from the enemy, which does actually legitimately become very significant on certain heroes. Like if your Tidehunter suddenly has 100 or less mana and he has a refresher, that's a really tight fit. So it does add up.
Yeah, I like Ursa.
I'm glad. I like when Ursa's on my team. Ursa is maybe one of my least played heroes, but he's real good.
Yeah.
Actually, that's probably not true. Yeah, I was counterpicking.
He loads into the game, and he's just like, for the Cubs! And then he just like rolls all over you and punches your face in with his claws.
He's got great cosmetics, too. That's what's important. Man, my Ursa...
My cosmetics are not good for Ursa, I'm going to be honest.
Mine are decent, but he has a lot of...
What head do you use?
I don't like my head that much.
He doesn't have a good head. Oh, no, the Ferocious Heart is a good set.
Yeah, that's the head that I use.
Ferocious Heart is good. This is an expensive set.
Is it?
Fuck. I might buy this before I get... It's like $8, dude.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's the one with the cool hands.
Well, no, I use the Blink Dagger hands because they're immortals.
Yeah, but you can use both. Because he has different slots.
You're right, it's claws.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't use any claws because every claws looks not good. But these ones are
And you
good.
have the ambient effect unlock version where they're glowing, and boy...
Oh, this is one of those infuser sets?
It's so sick. Yeah, my Ursa looks cool just through virtue of his hands have a ton of spikes on them. Because I use the Blink Dagger. Because like the Blink Daggers go the opposite way too, so like your entire sides of your body are jagged and like ready to stab people at any second.
Wait. This can't be true.
What?
Oh, Wait, what the fuck? Okay, no, yeah, I already know. This is fine. I thought this was like the bundle, but no, I was looking at the hands. Yes, the hands. The big old hammies. Yeah, these are good. Fuck, I need an infuser.
Can you not buy them anymore?
I probably can.
Yeah. Probably $250.
I want to see the other set. Let me see it. Let me see the fucking infused one. Whatever, we'll figure this out. I'll buy it. Oh wait, here we go. Yeah, they glow red now. Yes, this is great. Yep. All right, this is I'll pretty myself.
There's actually some other way that I've seen that you can get a third item that goes on the hands, or like clips through the other two. But okay. I honestly don't.
Yeah, that's
remember.
Ideal.
Yeah, anytime I can clip a bunch of things through each other on my heroes, I aim for that. But yeah.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
I mean, yeah, especially like my AM set for a while, I was using 3 different things that all clipped over each other on the head. Anyway, yeah, so Ursa. Let's talk a little bit about Ursa, shall we? Why are you into Ursa nowadays? Because I mean, Ursa is a pretty good hero right now.
He's a fighter. He's a fighting boy. He's our pugilist lad. Ursa can beat offlaners with his hands, and then he can just continue beating people with his hands, and that's a great thing to be today.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. This metagame is very skirmishy, lots of fights early.
He keeps running around and finds people with his hands, and he just rips their skulls apart. And he doesn't really hit up, like, the typical thing with Ursa is like, oh, he falls off. Like, fuck you. There's no point where Fury Swipe stops doing more damage. It just keeps going. And, like, yeah, it gets easier to kite him and whatever, but... like, who's gonna be kiting you when they're dead and they can't afford a force staff?
Yeah.
So just kill them more.
I did
say it. Just say it.
Earlier this week, maybe last week, I did have a 110-minute game, and our cores were Terrorblade and Ursa, and the Ursa did fall off real hard around the 90-minute mark.
Well, yeah, that'll
so
happen.
If you're planning on
fall off around the 90 minute
if you have if your friends are techies players or something and you're planning on playing 110-minute games, do not advise picking Ursa because turns out
maybe don't do that. But for like a regular, like most Dota games, a vast majority of Dota games, Ursa is still going to be like at his peak unless you just fucking lose the early game. Like Ursa doesn't play well from behind, of course,
but you shouldn't be behind.
I mean,
so.
Yeah, like this is not a hero that gets behind. So that's, if you are playing from behind any other hero, you would have lost the game by then, I think. Unless it's like Spectre and the enemy team just throws, because that's how Dota works. But yeah, I mean, Ursa, you just like, you get ahead, you can fight up against their offlaner, maybe force their offlaner to jungle or something. That frees up your supports to focus more on the mid lane, which is what they want to do anyways. And then you just keep that ball rolling. You never stop. Show them what you got.
Yeah, what's your itemization? Because Ursa has a lot of like classic items. Like obviously, you're building your blink daggers.
Yeah.
And then you're building BKBs and Aghanim Scepters and stuff. But the big question I always have whenever I see Ursa, on the rare occasion I play Ursa, is do you go Deso? Well, not Deso. When you have phase, do you go right for the Morbid Mask, or do you go Mask of Madness, or do you go Vladimir's Offering? Because I know a lot of people go Vlad's, but some people just leave it at a Morbid Mask, and some people go Mask of Madness. That's always my big point of confusion.
Okay, well, I'm going to emphasize the fact that you pretty much didn't name the item that you go. You go Blink.
Well, yes, Blink, but
next.
Like in addition to Blink and whatnot.
Well, that's after Blink.
Yeah, okay.
You get Blink first. You get phase, Orb of Venom and phase and, your wand or whatever, and then you just get a fucking Blink and a bunch of clarities and you go to town. Soloing Roche is good, but you can do it with 2 people and you don't need the lifesteal. And if that lets you get a Blink earlier, that's fine. You can also kind of do it yourself without lifesteal if you just, I don't know. No, you need another person. What the fuck am I saying? You need another person if you're going to do it without lifesteal. But yeah, like that's a good thing to do. Just go the Blink first and just try to play the lifesteal-less Ursa. Mask of Madness is very good, but like Ursa is a hero where the thing, like if you want to visualize, this is something you want to do with almost any hero, especially cores, or just anytime you're playing against a hero or whatever, you want to visualize, like if you don't have a great understanding of them, say like, okay, times where this hero has gone out of control, or times where this hero has countered this hero. Like, what is the thing I'm envisioning? If I'm playing Storm, or if I'm playing Disruptor against a Storm, and I know, like, I've seen Storms lose to Disruptor. Why? What happens? Storm balls in, and instantly a Static Storm is on top of him. It's not like a kinetic field comes up and then a Static Storm. It's just Storm zips, fucking Static Storm, and then Storm just can't do shit. And then with Ursa, you're like, okay, what sucked about playing against Ursa? It definitely wasn't while he was killing my Crystal Maiden in 2 shots, he gained 30 health. That's not what I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of Ursa gaining 50 health while he kills my carry. I'm afraid of him killing my fucking carry. So you want to get to the position where Ursa is just going to, like, roll over and kill the enemy team. And none of that really involves spending 1,200 gold or more on lifesteal items. Mask of Madness is, like, viable because it does help you, totally kill motherfuckers. It lets you have attack speed outside of your W. But, like, the Casual Morbid Mask really is only for soloing Roche. And, I mean, not spending 1,100 gold is going to do about as much for you as soloing Roche. Yeah, like, if you get a blink, like, 3 minutes earlier, you will kill, like, 5 people. And then, then you'll have extra gold to waste on whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's my general thought on Ursa. Like, it's better if you can play him without health regen. It's, like, way, way, way better. Like, buy salves or whatever if you need to. And also the patch that doubled the amount of health regen you get from strength. Like, a lot of heroes just naturally have, like, 5 health regen at level 10 for no fucking reason. So, yeah, do shit like that. Just, like, have a wand, a raindrop, and, like, maybe buy an extra set of tangos at, like, 8 minutes or something, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. I usually, I had not thought about it that way. Like, makes sense. Ursa.
You just kill everyone, man. Just kill them.
So, when should you be looking to pick Ursa, and when should you not be picking Ursa? Like, the 2 big markers.
When you have a mid that needs some amount of space, or you're definitely against an offlaner that like needs a decently good start that you can just kind of roll over. Like, if you're against I was against an Abaddon, and I know for a fact there is nothing an Abaddon can do when he's trying to run at me, and then I'm just like, I am gonna man fight you, or, Fury Swipe, bear fight you. And then I do, and then he's just like, he's got his shield up, and then I break it in 1 hit, and then I hit him down to half health in another hit, and he's like, that's enough. Like, I understand you are the bear in this situation. I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna get out of here. And then I'm a big bear, and I own the lane.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when do you not want to be playing Ursa?
When they have a lot of incidental disable. So things like, I think I was against a Spirit Breaker this last Ursa game I played, and I was kind of against it, but I was like, okay, if Spirit Breaker's like gonna get in there, at the very least I'll be able to hit the Spirit Breaker. I was very afraid of, like, I'm going in on someone, and then Spirit Breaker charges the back line, and, I get stunned for 2 seconds, and Spirit Breaker is then, like, on my Lich, like, over a cliff behind me, and I'm like, okay, I can't do anything about that, and I just got stunned in the middle of nowhere, and now I'm, like, not gonna get anything across. Like, Earthshaker's another one that's shitty to go against, because Fissure can fuck you up, all of the stuns can fuck you up. Yeah, just like any hero that can instantly respond to you before you can kill them, or heroes that naturally are very good at kiting. And all of that can be kind of solved by getting BKBs and bashers and all that sort of thing, which is another reason why I don't want to go lifesteal, because the faster I get my BKB and the faster I get my basher, the sooner I can get into situations where I can just instant kill this Earthshaker repeatedly before he's able to, like, stun me and shit like that. And the sooner I can, like, start killing the supports so they'll never get to those 4 stabs and those blink daggers that are going to kill me. So, like, the main way you just want to be as oppressive as possible. And most of the things that counter you don't come into play until late game. So you want to delay them as much as possible. And you do that by pumping everything into your early game, getting a fast blink, and then further fucking them up. There's one thing I really like to do, which is getting like Shadow Blade and Silver Edge on him. It's very mana intensive, but you're already taxing them that they need to get their 4 stabs immediately. If you also are a stealth hero now, they need to be buying, like, sentries and observers for, like, when you're coming at them, and dust for you getting away from every fight, because you, like, if you can blink in and get them, you will. or if you Shadow Blade and then kill them and then blink off. Like there's gonna be like a lot of different things you do. And then also they're trying to like rush their 4 stabs and glimmer capes and all that shit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it just fucks them up. And like the lower you go, the more abusable that is.
Absolutely. One of the other final things on Ursa that I want to talk about is his skill build. In mid lane, I usually see people go much more heavily in favor of Earthshock, because usually when Ursa is picked mid, it's as a counter pick, which is less common nowadays since things like Timbersaw and Alchemist are not as common as they used to be. But it is still a good counter pick occasionally. And then in safe lane, we see a lot more of the stereotypical overpower and fury swipe builds. You're always getting ult at 6 and whatnot. What is your opinion on that? Do you normally get 1 point Earthshock early, or do you skip it entirely? Because I've seen it both ways.
Yeah, it depends on the lane very much. If I'm certainly in a situation where the reason that you get Earthshock in those like mid matchups are, if you hold on to them, you are going to kill them, and Earthshock is how you hold on to people, right? And if they're melee heroes, you can only hold on to something if you get a hold of it in the first place. So if I'm off, or if I'm safe lane and I'm against like a Windrunner, I'm not gonna get Earthshock, because if I get up to her, she's gone. There's just like not a great reason for it. But if I'm if I'm safe lane against a Centaur, everything that he's gonna do is gonna be right next to me. So I will get the early point in Earthshock, maybe even 2, depending on, because a 35% slow is way better than a 25. Going past 35, it's not like too necessary. You can pretty much catch up to people the entire duration of a 35% slow compared to a 25, where it's going to be like hit, walk for a second and a half, hit, and then your slow's off. So the biggest difficulty for me is balancing overpower and fury swipes. I typically like to do them relatively evenly. Overpower costs a lot more mana the more you get it. So it's not uncommon for me to be like, like 2 overpower, 3 fury swipes or something like that. I'll pretty much always get 3 fury swipes and then get points in overpower beyond that. But yeah, I think the last point in fury swipes is not nearly as good as the last point in overpower personally. And as soon as you can swing the mana, I think that's good.
That makes sense. All right. So we are going to hop into our game. You can watch our VODs on youtube.com/.ptv1.
Man, we never talk about talents,
okay,
man.
let's talk about talents then. Let's talk about talents.
All right. I don't know what silencer
talents. I want to look them back up just so I remember.
Yeah.
Silencer talents. Let's see. I usually at 10 I would go in. If the enemy team has a lot of physical damage, I'll go in for +4 armor. But in general, let's see.
Both these suck. I would just skill a skill.
Yeah, well, because at that point you're gonna have maxed curse and maxed last word anyway. Well, maybe not. Maybe you could delay it by like A level and finish that. Regardless, I'd probably play it by ear.
Yeah, you would delay it a level.
But I would usually pick 7 ins unless the enemy team was super heavy on the physical damage. Then I go in for the armor.
You have 3 agi gain. Like you care about armor a lot less than any other. Int
at level 15, the options are 60 GPM or 200 health. 60 GPM sucks, and I never pick it as a talent. That's awful. Basically my general rule of thumb is any GPM that's under 100, I ignore, and if it's above 100, then I think about it. But 60 GPM sucks.
If it's above 100, it needs to be either at level 15 or Puck's 420 talent.
Yeah.
Like if
you see a game is going super late. It's like,
even then, like, I mean, a level 20 talent compared to like 150 GPM, like that's gonna have to be the best talent in the world, to the point where I don't think it exists. The only one I can think of is like Dragon Knights.
I think Enigma has one.
Even then, most of the time you get the other one. Enigma, maybe. I mean, that's a weird. Enigma is like such a weird character in that the only thing you're interested
his
is
15.
Like,
never mind. I thought it was a 20.
Yeah. Yeah, most of them are like Faceless Void. I think has one at Faceless Void has 300 health or 120 gold per minute at 20. I'm like, I'm gonna get the health, and then I can have a damage item instead of a health item. Like, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. So I'm skipping the GPM at that. Well, certainly. At level 20, you choose between magic resistance or attack speed. I'm gonna be picking attack speed almost certainly again. Unless I'm going
Yeah.
super hard into that, like, oh, they picked Faceless Void and they picked Enigma and they picked a bunch of other stuff that I need to counter, then I might go in.
I don't know, dude.
Then I might go in for magic resistance just so that I live. But I would almost always pick attack speed unless that very specific situation is the case.
It's just like all these magic resist talents are so low. Fucking low. Like 10% magic resist. Like Jesus Christ. Like if I get caught out by, like if you're taking magic damage, it's normally because you got caught out by like a spell and you're in bad position. Like there's no situation where that was like the break point on whether you live or die as a support. Like if you're taking magic damage, dude, you're fucking dead. That's just it. That's it.
Yes. And
just like oh god, all these magic resist talents fucking suck, and there's so many of them. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Like Troll's level 25 talent is like 20% magic resist. I'm like, fuck off. I don't want this.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those. At 25, the choices are 25% Curse of the Silent Slow or 200 attack range. I would most likely be taking attack range rather than Curse Slow. What? But if the enemy team does not have, let's say, enough BKBs and whatnot, or they're very susceptible to Curse.
Yeah. Or Mantis.
Yeah, it's just like Curse is really good early and mid game because people don't have those tools yet to remove it. But in the late game, everything removes it. You don't need a strong dispel. You can have a weak dispel. So you can Manta it off, you can BKB it off, you can use any ability that purges it off. You can do all kinds of things.
Yules.
Yeah, Yules.
Yeah. And people are already using themselves for your silence anyway. Anything that breaks your silence also breaks your curse. So if you're overlapping them, like
like all the heroes that suffer when they're slowed significantly also build BKBs and whatnot, so this is not significant. Like you'd think, oh, I want to slow down an Ursa because he's like a melee hero that you want to kite. It's like, well, it doesn't matter if you have 25% curse slow because he's either kited or he's not. Like this is not going to be the breaking point because he has a BKB anyway, and he has Aghanim Scepter. And
the thing I would say is that, I mean, you can eventually overload, how many ways to break things that people have. Like if I'm against a silencer and like a Queen of Pain and a Sven or something, like I'm gonna BKB to not get stunned by Sven, and then I'm gonna Manta to break out of like Quap Dagger or whatever, and then afterwards you're gonna Curse the Silent me, and I'm like I have 2 breaks, like that's it. So like it's good for that, but I can see 200 attack range. Like I mean, you are always 200 is a shit ton. You will always be safe and okay to be throwing out waves.
And at this point in the game, you likely have racked up enough gold and enough kills and whatnot. Yeah. Like if you're 25 on a 5 position support, this is a very long game. Like even if you do go Midas, this is still an incredibly long game. So you're just bound to be doing real damage at this point. So it keeps you safe and all that. Okay. Ursa, what are you going to be doing?
I support your decision. Ursa Bear, my big fuzzy boy. 25 damage is one of the few times I'm going to take a damage talent because it's way better than 10% magic resist. And I mean, if you're overpowering someone, you got like fucking 6 attacks. That's like fucking 150 damage. That's some good stuff. Then afterwards, probably you choose between the armor and attack speed. These are actually relatively even talents if you think about, pound for pound. 20 attack speed, Glove of Haste, 500 gold, 5 armor, chainmail, 550 gold. The thing with Ursa and armor is that you just want to be at a point where the enemy, like person who does physical damage, is not going to want to turn around and punch you back. If you can stay at that point, there's not a great reason to have a bunch of armor at level 15. As you go on, when like you're getting kited more and carries are able to hit you and you need to survive until you can, grab their face, then it becomes a bit more of a factor. But like until then, it's just nice to have attack speed outside of overpower. So I'd probably take that, but I'm sure there's a ton of games where I think about that and then I end up with the armor because I know it's going to develop into something different later. So I would play that one by ear. But if you feel like you're balling out of control, get the attack speed and see what happens. Level 20, I would obviously get 250 health instead of a bad Windlace. I think that's fair to say. And then at 25, that's honestly another just like pure decision. I've been yelled at in games like one after the other for picking one or the other. Just because it's just how fucking Dota 2 works. But like they're both decent, and I don't actually I wouldn't even say I have enough experience on Ursa to say definitively which one is better. Like they're both such wildly different concepts. One is either plus 10 Fury Swipes damage or 14 all stats. Like those are not similar, but 14 stats is a shit ton, my dude. Like that's good.
It's 280 health.
It's a lot.
Like, it's a couple pieces of armor.
14 agility almost.
It's a lot.
I don't know. I'm going to check these Dota buff win rates.
Well, I have them pulled up right now. There is basically a negligible difference between the win rate on his 25 talents.
Yeah.
Interestingly, movement speed at level 20 has a 2% higher win rate.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah, I'm not. I similarly am not a fan of movement speed talents unless they're like 50 movement speed, which I don't even think is a talent that exists.
Like 250 health is way better. Actually, Dragon Knight has a 60 move speed talent, so watch your fucking mouth. Yeah. The 25 damage has the win rate advantage. Attack speed has the win. I mean, they're all pretty even, honestly. But I mean, personally, I'd take the 25 damage, the 20 attack speed, the 250 health, and probably the stats. Probably the stats at 25, because I'm a little bit more worried about throwing the game and just like getting caught out and dying before I can, get my head back above water than I am about like my ability to burst someone down. Like my ability to burst someone down isn't going to be governed by another 10 on Fury Whips. It's just going to be whether or not I hold them down. And 14 stats, like, 14 attack speed, 14 damage, 2 armor, like that's pretty good. And more importantly, that is going to help you kill buildings, which is like one of Ursa's biggest problems. Like gaining another 14 damage and 14 attack speed is pretty significant when your hero basically has no attack speed at all.
All right, perfect. So let's hop into our game. Great. And we will be...
Yeah, let's play it, man.
YouTube.com/.ptv1. Our VODs will be up there, and we will see you after the break.
Okay.
All right, hello everyone. We have just finished our game. We're back now. As you can hear us, bright as day. We did not have a demoralizing loss like last week. We actually, in fact, won this week. It was quite fun, quite a good game. Our team comp was a safe lane tri-lane of Silencer, Ursa, and Pudge, a mid lane Visage, and an off lane Doombringer. The enemy team had a safe lane duo lane of Shadow Shaman and Venomancer. They had a roaming Slardar, and they had an offlane Legion Commander, and they had a mid lane Shadow Fiend. This game was 3 solos and then 3 solos and a 2 stack on each team. So let's see. How do you want to approach this? Proud? Let's just go from the laning phase, because our laning phase was very awkward, and the enemy.
Extremely bad and terribly executed.
We also fed, our mid lane Visage and our off lane Doom just like walked and died at Rune. So immediately we Slardar came to lane and practically had Tranquil Boots already, and like their Shadow Fiend started lane with 7 souls.
There's this sort of idea in Dota that, there's an idea in general that being self-sacrificing is the exact same thing as like what's good for the goose isn't necessarily good for the gander. Like people think that if they sacrifice for themselves, somehow it will equal out to be better for the team.
Yeah.
And so this Visage was like, oh, I'm going to not ask for tangos. I'm going to buy them myself. And like, no, that's bad. And this Visage was like, oh, I died. I'm not going to ask for a TP. I'll just walk there. And no, that's bad. Like take things from like this, for the most part, like, self-sacrificing for other people. Like normally that works out, but in Dota, like that's not how the Dota works. Yeah. You don't do that. So like he died top trying to save his Doom instead of going to lane, and then didn't have a TP, so he just walked to lane. So it was like a minute 40, and Shadow Fiend had 3 waves to himself and had full souls.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was not good. It was a bad start.
And like on top of that, he could have just left the Doom, because the Doom went to Rune with 1 pooled Tango and a Stout Shield and a Poor Man's Shield. Like literally nothing else. And I don't even know how he got that Tango. I certainly didn't give it to him.
Because Visage gave it to him.
Oh, of course.
Because Visage started with a full set, and he's like, there's no way I can use this.
Yeah, and Visage easily could have just been like, all right, he's out of position, he's dying, that's it. But instead, he followed, and like you said, he was trying to be self-sacrificial and save the day, but instead he just fed also. It's like, the whole time you were explaining that, I was just thinking about Yu Yu Hakusho. We've both watched Yu Yu Hakusho, right? I assume a lot of people watch Yu Yu Hakusho. You know how, like, in the beginning, warning, spoilers for Yu Yu Hakusho, I guess. In the beginning, Yusuke dies, and he's like, oh, well, at least I saved the kid, right? And then Botan's like, actually, if you really want to know, you actually hurt the kid, because he was going to get, like, no scratches at all, and because the car was going to swerve out of the way at the last moment.
Right. Yeah, this car is like running at this kid, and then Yusuke like jumps and saves him and gets hit by the car, and it's like, actually, dude, the driver would have figured it out.
Yeah,
and you actually kind of fucked the kid up a little bit. Like, he's kind of hurt now because you knocked him down.
Yeah, that was all I was thinking about during that explanation. Because that's one of my favorite moments in TV. Is just like, actually, like you killed yourself and you actually hurt this child by accident. Anyway,
that's funny.
So our lane was real awkward, partially because, like we said, the Slardar showed up to lane and he just like, he was a big problem.
Had like 2 minutes.
Yeah, he had a bunch of stuff. Luckily, he didn't feed, but he took a few bad engagements and the game, it panned out farm-wise. But the laning phase was very awkward. Really. We did not leave you alone for a while until I want to say like 5 or 6 minutes. That's when
so we went over like one of the advantages of Ursa is like I can fuck off while you guys save the mid lane. But like we lost the mid lane from minute 0 and then just had people chilling out in my lane like, what's up? And I was like, hey, and it was bad, man. It was like we repeatedly it was like Pudge first and then you trying to save Pudge and then you after, and it was like you guys were like hang out on like the inside of the lane, like not I guess like on the inside of like the map, right? And like Slardar would catch you or something or whatever, and then I would have to leave my lane and go stop it, and then I would come back and there's like 3 enemy range creeps, and then another little fight happens and I come back and then there's 4 enemy range creeps, and I'm like, I can't keep dying to creeps. And fucking save people. I need to take care of me right now.
Yeah, it was one of those awkward lanes where we were like somewhat communicating and it was actually making things worse because like in a lot of games you have no communication at all and people just do their own thing, right? But we had enough communication where Pudge was like, hey, we got to do this. Like, come on, let's go. And then that would induce us to do dumb things, or like I would be getting caught out and the Pudge would be close enough, or he would be close but not close enough to save me, and then I would die, or vice versa. And like you said, we were playing Radiant, so Pudge and I, and usually the Slardar and sometimes the LC, were usually fighting in between the large camp and the lane, and then you were usually farming on the outskirts, on like the opposite side, closer to the secret shop. So when a fight did happen, it's 4 minutes. It's not like you have Blink Dagger. You don't even have phase boots at this point. And
I heard Lee
there's just no way for you to get there.
Because between like contesting last hits with Slardar and LC in the lane, and like fucking having to run over and save whatever person at any given moment, it was an adventure. And I needed an Orb of Venom so that we could actually hold on to people. Because Sprint would get away from Pudge, and then we were just like, well, that's that.
Yeah. So it was definitely action-packed, like we kind of wanted, although it didn't pan out exactly like we wanted. Eventually,
you needed like one hard stun because it would just be like Pudge would rot them, and then I would be like, Pudge, can you move? I need to get around you. And Pudge was just like, there's flies buzzing in his face. He can't say shit. He's like, his brain doesn't work that well. Yeah. So it was just not great.
I had the Pudge pre-muted, or text-wise, I had him textually pre-muted.
I probably did too, because I don't remember him saying anything.
Yeah, oh no, he was really annoying and he kept flaming you. Yeah, he was like, Ursa, why aren't you here? And I was like, dude, he's on the other side of the lane. Like, he literally can't be here. He doesn't have boots. It's 2 minutes. Anyway. I ended up muting him very quickly. So eventually we left you alone though, right? I think
after several requests, at some point I was like, you guys should go mid or top, and then Pudge did, and you didn't have a TP yet. And then afterwards it was like 6.5 minutes and I was level 4 and I just told you to fuck off.
Yeah, and I went top lane and we got some kills. The issue, one of the larger reasons why I didn't leave immediately was just like our offlaner was a Doom and their safe lane was like Veno Shadow Shaman. So we didn't really like aggroing into that is really difficult. And similarly, our mid lane was such a catastrophe because of all the like minute 0 feeding and all the weird plays that the Visage side to make. Yeah. That it was hard to be like, oh, like if we had like an awfully underlord like that guy almost picked, it would have been like, oh, okay, like we're just going to aggro, we're going to push this tower early, whatever. But instead it was kind of like just this weird like tango of us with a couple of heroes moving around and then with a couple of heroes moving around.
Yeah, it wasn't so much that there's a better place for you to go. It was that, like,
you need to be
better off if you could just shut off your ability to take XP. Like, if you could have done that, I would have been fine with you being there. There's no better place for you to be. But, like, I cannot be level, like, I need to be level 5 at least at 6 minutes. Because like if I don't ever get my ulti, the second lift, like if I'm 5 and Legion is 6, and Legion pops up and I don't have time and I can't press R, like we may just lose. I just may die like 2 times in the early game, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah. So once we started moving around, I had a much better game. I actually ended up. So usually a good marker for when you're having a good silencer game is if you have int stolen that is similar to the amount of minutes. So at like 24 minutes, I had 24 int stolen, ballpark.
Yeah, it's like a kill every 2 minutes, which is good. Like a kill a minute is a crazy game. Kill every 2 minutes is like on par, and that's participation. Also
it's participation, so and you have to be close, like you said.
Yes, probably more like a kill every 1.5, 120 or something, and then you only get some percentage of them. Anyway, go on. That was pedantic.
But so by that margin or by that marker, I had a pretty good silencer game, and then in the later stages of the game, I had an excellent game. I think at 40 minutes, this game ended at 40 minutes. I had 46 int stolen, and I had how much net worth did I have? I had 14k net worth. So for a 5-position support, like I ended up getting very fat just through virtue of living through a bunch of fights. We really hit our mid-game tempo. Like obviously we're a mid-game team, right? Like we have a Pudge and a Visage and a Ursa. There's no
Ursa,
we don't. Well, I mean, we can late game, but we don't ideally like to late game. So we really hit our stride in the mid game. We took a few key fights. I would say the big marker was once you had your blink dagger, you got your blink at 21. Yeah. Right after you got blink dagger, we took like 3 fights in a row, and then we took a bunch of map control, and that's when we really solidified our heading.
The fight at top where it was like near the top shrine, and the way I was using my blink dagger there was like they had a Venomancer that like kept canceling everything. So I went to kind of where that where the spire is near the radiant top shrine. There's like the gap, the river, and then the dire area where there's like the space between the lane and then the hard camp or whatever. And I would just like I'd run back till I was far from everyone, and then I would like blink across and then get them from behind, and then like kill one person and then run all the way back, wait for my blink dagger gun, and then I blinked across a second time and then like killed Shadow Fiend or whatever. So like just emphasize, because we were against a Venomancer, and like Venomancer is fucking horrendous to go up against as an Ursa. Not only are you blink reliant, you move. Like it's a hero that moves, and oftentimes you're not going to have your ulti saved to break a Gale. I'm pretty sure it breaks Gale. I know you can break Gale with like with hard dispels, and I'm pretty sure
I believe it is
one. Anyway, either way, it's weird. So like you hate Venomancer, and he's also like he can build tanky. Like this guy went he had like
Dragonlance Lincolns.
Yeah, and Lincolns and Dragonlance and all that shit. It was pretty brutal. But yeah, like the key was just and I didn't have my blink dagger for a very long time, so a lot of the good fights we took were like someone would get gone on and then like bait them in, and I would just like wait around like a tree corner or whatever, or like try to come from behind or some shit like that. So it was very like it was like total guerrilla warfare. Honestly, it's like the only way we managed to pull it back.
Yeah, it definitely was just a super skirmishy game from both sides. This Shadow Fiend took really crazy early leads, but then once we each, I would say, got our, I mean, as a support, once I and Pudge got our first item, but once both our cores got their second items, like you had Vlad's Blink BKB and our Visage had Solar Crest Atos. Right after that, those items came out, we took crazy map control and we killed the Shadow Fiend over and over and over again. So all his early leads kind of were all for naught. He also did a really weird build that I would not advise. It was one of those things where it looked cool in the beginning, but it really sucked in the long term. He went Treads, Drums, Dragonlance, or Treads, Drums, Hurricane Pike, Manta, Shadowblade, and I'm pretty sure the Shadowblade was just to get a single kill at the end, because normally
the game was pretty much over.
He got it at 37 minutes and the game ended at 39:45. So
I think
it was awkward.
I think the Manta is like actually pretty good this game, honestly.
I agree.
I wasn't going to get my blink for a while, or my basher for a while, so my slow was just the slow. If he gets hooked, he can pop it immediately. He can get out of Visage, both his he can get out of the slow from Visage, and
gives you some move speed
not a lot
too.
That's going to stop a Doom. Yeah, move speed, of course.
The problem was largely, in my opinion, as far as Shadow Fiend builds go, is that he had just a bunch of stats and his actual efficacy was not He wasn't very effective in fights, right? He just was a guy that dealt damage and was tanky, but like he didn't have a BKB because he went for Manta. So yeah, he could dodge stuff, he could remove Guardian, he could remove my ult, stuff like that. But it wasn't like to rephrase, it wasn't like he had any one big ticket item that's like, oh man, we really got to look out for this. It was just like, oh, yeah, he's a Shadow Fiend, but now he has a little bit more health, or he's a Shadow Fiend that's a little faster compared to like a Shadow Blade early.
Really just that I would like run up on him. Like every fight, it was just I got in his face and then was punching him, and then right before his ulti would come out, I would press R, and then I would finish him off, and then I would take like almost no damage from his ultimate, and then also his like, you know, half ultimate when he dies.
Yeah.
And that just, like Ursa is very good against Shadow Fiend, and he got his Manta to, you know, deal with my slow or whatever, and I got my Basher 2 minutes later. So like, you know, I got my BKB, won a fight. 2 minutes later, he's able to get away from me because he has both Pike and Manta, but and then I get the Basher, and like then the next fight I did that like blink across thing and I bashed him, and that was just kind of it.
Yeah, and also right around when he was getting Manta, I got an Atos and our Visage got an Atos. Like,
yeah, so it's like, okay, you can get rid of the global silence, or you can get rid of not being able to move with an Ursa like chewing on your thighs.
Yeah, man, I actually had more net worth than the Visage at the end of the game by a little bit.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, yikes, man! What a hard game for that guy.
We were joking that like this game's gonna suck because this Doom is gonna go Midas, even though like we need to win early and mid game, and the Doom did indeed go Midas. I would like to point out.
Yeah, he had good items though.
He did well.
Yeah, he
did well.
A big deal.
You got a pipe, you got a Lotus Steel. Like, yeah, he played well. It's just like, yep, you got a Midas. Could have seen that one coming.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Vlads a bit because I still don't know how I feel about that. So, it was at a point where like I was just trading nonstop, and I was like, I'm not going to make it to a Blink Dagger without dying. I can't stay in this lane. Like, I feel like I need lifesteal. We need to sneak Roche at some point. I need the lifesteal. So, Ursi was saying that he still sees a ton of people get Vlads, and like I think I just like discount it when I see him because I'm just like, you're not an Ursa player, you get Vlads. Like most people who play Ursa are, you know, like they're more interested in trying out the new tech, but you know, anyone who has not played Ursa is just like, oh, Ursa goes Vlads. But I think that might have been true like 2 months ago, but this patch, since everything is so 5-manny and fighty, like Vlad's is good. And we were against Shadow Fiend and Slardar, and like Venomancer wards do physical damage too, and the Shadow Shaman wards, and then of course like Legion is gonna do a lot, and I do physical damage, and when she duels me, she's gonna have a blade mail, and I would like to take less. So I was like, all right, like we need some armor. If I have my Mask of Madness going, I'm just gonna get killed. I'll just take way too much physical damage, and I can't pop my ulti. That's just gonna be a really bad situation. So I was like, fuck it, like I'll try the Vlads out and we'll see how it does. And at some point I was like, my blink is so late, this sucks. I should have just gotten the lifesteal and not done anything else. But we still won, and we won fights 5-manning. So it's just so hard to tell how much of that was the Vlads and how much of that was just like us, you know?
Yeah, no, it made sense. It really, I mean, it was a confluence of different good things, right? It wasn't just one thing coming at once. It was, you know, you got a Blink Dagger and I got a Force Staff, and we got another bunch of items coming out, and we had...
Yeah, our 20-minute timing is like...
It's crazy good.
Yeah, Pudge gets a 20-minute Blink, Visage gets a 20-minute Solar Crest, and yeah, you got your 21-minute Force Staff, and I got my 21-minute Blink. So yeah, that worked out very well.
Yeah, it was perfect timing. So...
Yeah, I'm just not sure if I feel the Vlads. I feel like if I played that game again, I would have gotten the lifesteal, finished the Blink, and then finished the Vlads. I feel like that would have been a better way to go about it. But that's like very game specific. And then afterwards, I got a BKB because I needed to, then a Basher, and then I would have gotten an Ags, but I didn't get there.
Yeah, let's see. Anything else about this game? I'll talk about my itemization. I went in for the Atos right after Force Staff compared to going in for other items. I was also thinking about going for a Lotus Orb, but we had a Lotus Orb already from the Doom. So instead, I changed my plate mail into a Shiva's Guard, which I don't even think I used that game because I got it like right at the end.
Yeah, like 37 minutes.
I was thinking about going AC, but we had one coming out from Visage already, so I was just kind of like, how do I use this item? I guess I'm going to build a Shiva's. Also, obviously, Shiva's is good on Silencer.
Yeah.
The
The only other item I would have considered for myself is like Ghost Scepter, or not Ghost Scepter. Diffusal Blade is a very core Visage item, or Jesus Christ, is a very core Ursa item, specifically because Ghost Scepter destroys this hero. But none of them went Ghost Scepter, so there was no need for a Diffusal. But I mean, if you're playing Ursa, pretty much the build is, some sort of lifesteal item if you so prefer, Blink Dagger, and then you're going to want some combination of BKB, Basher, or Diffusal, or Ags if you don't want to go BKB for some reason. It's like some combination of that stuff, and then there's like going to be one other very situational late game item. Like it's not like anything super in particular, but it's very common to get Basher after Blink, and then either BKB or Ags, and then either whichever one you didn't get or something like that, or Diffusal to deal with the Ghost Scepters, and then like a Scotty or or I don't know, MKB if you need it, but just something.
Yeah, let's see. Anything other big markers or big standout things for this game?
No, I mean talent wise, I went the armor. Or no, did I go the attack speed or the armor? I think I went the attack speed.
No, you went armor. I remember. Yeah.
Okay, because I feel like I did something and then my attack speed increased, but I probably went the armor because I knew that I was like, there's so much physical. I need this fucking armor.
Yeah. Oh, I remember because I also picked my armor talent and
yeah, I got armor talent. Yeah. When did my attack speed increase? I don't fucking know. Anyway, yeah, I got the armor.
Yeah, I mean my talents are pretty standard. I went for armor also instead of int. I was getting so much int from fights. I was just kind of focused on living more so than anything else.
Yeah.
I will say one of the things that is pretty typical of my play, but there were a few times where, because I was so aware of that like 925 AoE I have to be in to get my +2 int, there were a few times where either I died trying to get int or I died immediately after getting int. Like there's one fight under top tower, a top dire tier 1, where
we were killing like a Shadow Fiend.
We're killing Shadow Fiend, and I was like, man, I really want this int. And also, I mean, I wanted to kill him. It was one of those things where we were definitely going to kill him, but I could have made it faster. So I went in, and then I died to his Death Requiem. And then there were a couple other random fights in that like late stage of the very early game, like post laning phase, pre-mid game team fight era, where I would just like a little overextend in favor of trying to get int out of somebody nearly gonna die or whatever.
Yeah. I should have told you the range was longer, and then it would have been fine. Like the range is 1,200, and then you would have been like perfect. Like I'm gonna overcompensate a little bit just to get in there, and then you would have hit that sweet 925 spot.
Well, honestly, normally I don't pay attention to it, but like I don't pay attention to whether or not I'm getting int. However, in this game, I was really paying attention. Like, was I close enough? Did I get int? Did I not get int? And so I would have noticed anyway. But yeah, so it was a stellar silencer game. Honestly, like it wasn't a silencer game where I was necessarily counterpicking like any. It wasn't like, oh, they picked Enigma.
Oh yeah, you first picked it.
But it was an idea. It was a very good silencer game, regardless. Basically. And
there was one kind of error that was like on my part, well, both of our parts as far as communication goes. But my first BKB usage was like right as you global silence, and I was like, this is 5 seconds of wasted BKB.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always like fucking Venomancer boards or whatever that it's blocking and shit. But I mean, either way, it worked out. But 10-second BKB, like, it was long enough. We won that fight very decisively, but. One of the things I really like about Silencer is you can take a hero like a Sven or an Ursa or whatever and like pseudo elongate their BKB by global silencing, and then after global silence is like dealt with, then they BKB. So like they always have an extra 4 seconds of pure uptime where the enemy team can't do like crazy shit and stop you.
Yeah. Also, one of the big things was they had 2 heroes that were blink initiators. So they had the blink from Slardar, and more importantly, though, they had blink on Shadow Shaman. So I could very quickly notice that, Shadow Shaman's blinking in and just silence immediately. And then he, is like a squishy hero that's out in the middle of nowhere just getting massacred.
Yeah. I mean, even if he does get the chains off, or the shackle, like,
he just
press
cancel
R, the shackle ends, and then I kill them. Yeah. But that game was great. It definitely, like we even started behind. Like we were never very far behind, but most of that net worth is just built up in Doom having, you know, way more net worth than he deserves. Like he had more net worth than me at the end, and I was like 18-4 or something. But yeah, like we were way behind at the start, I think, and we like I tried to sneak Roche and we all died and everything, whatever. But we just hit the blink timing super hard, even though it was a very late blink. We all went across on it and then just like emphasized pushing from there. And I think the Vlads had a big part to do with that. So I'm gonna kind of re-examine that item, if you will, and if you won't, I'll do it anyways. But yeah, I don't know. That was just like the perfect example of like Ursa is a strong hero. Like the game went to 40 minutes and we were behind, and I never stopped being a strong hero. Like I did the most damage as on the team as a single single target damage hero, which is like unheard of. So Ursa's still good. Like he's good. He scales. He's fine. Just play him.
Absolutely. All right. So you can watch the VODs again if you missed them. YouTube.com/.ptv1. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Ursinity. Proud is at Proud Dota. Our show is at .p_show. Support us on Patreon and listen to the Patreon episodes. Defenseofthepatients@gmail. Or that's not Patreon. Patreon.com/defenseofthepatients. And all the other stuff. Don't worry about it too much. This, and also discord.gg/.p. That's the most important of all important things. That is where you can get at us.
Also, I'm starting up coaching again because I have a lot of time. So I just made a Gmail for it, and it's Proud Dota Coach. I think that's what it is. Proud Dota Coach at gmail.com. Or message me on Discord or Twitter or whatever. It doesn't matter. But if you really want to email, it's Proud and then the word Dota and then the word Coach. It's very difficult to remember, but I made it for just for you.
I like that the way that it reads. It's like you're a proud Dota coach. Like, oh
yeah,
man,
that's a lot of things with my name don't really work out that well, honestly.
Yeah, you need like a comma, but that doesn't exactly work well in emails.
So yeah, I'm doing coaching again. The base is 20 an hour. And if that's too much for you, but you want it, you know, we can work something out because I'm very socialist. But if it's not enough and you own a lot of money, then give me more, because that's also how that works.
It's like one of those places where you pay what you want.
Yeah, only there's like a suggested. So it's like I need money.
Like tipping.
That's why I'm doing this.
Right? It's like when you're in like a some restaurants, all the foreigners are not going to get the tipping thing because tipping is such a ridiculous concept. But you know how some businesses, they're like, oh, suggested gratuity, like $7. It's like, you could give them nothing, or you could give them $30.
You could always just pay them. You could always pay your employees. That's another.
What a ridiculous, un-American concept. Proud. Gosh. All right.
No, I'm sorry. I forgot.
This has been our theory, and if it doesn't work out for you, well, blame your
Seize the means.